So Cooper Webb, 28 wins. Let's say he gets this third title. Right? Looks good. Who knows what can happen? Now he moves above Chad with 44 wins, James with 50 wins. He ties Tomac with 53, championship-wise, but 53 wins. Does the 3 titles and say 32 wins, does that trump 2 titles and 50 wins for James Stewart? You know what I'm saying? Interesting, right? Like, and Chad Reed, for that example, 2 titles, 44 wins. That's almost 50% more than Coop. Right now.
I think the important thing is he's not done.
No,
correct.
He's not done.
That's the important thing. If he told me he was retiring after this season and he wins a title, I'd be like, I don't know. Like, like the wins are so important, and you would need like the eye test. But I don't think he's anywhere near done racing yet. So it's almost like unfair to ask right now.
But 3 titles puts you ahead of RJ, Wardy, Chad Reed,
Stu.
You name it. That puts you with Bob Hanna and Stanton.
Stanton, RV, Dunge, McGrath.
Yeah.
So basically puts you like 5th overall in titles won.
That's the goal.
Right.
Because you look at like would you trade Stewart's 50 wins for 3 titles?
Yeah,
like,
I don't know. I'm just wondering, like,
5,
it's just bench racing. Like,
who
knows,
and
right?
then you've got Roxon is clearly the most main event wins without a title. Is 23.
Yep.
So he passed Wyndham a few.
Yeah, Wyndham at 19, I think. Yep.
Bradshaw's 18.
Yeah, that's a lot of wins with no title.
So
and that's where Tomac was at a few years back, right? It was like,
it's it's crazy when you think of the number 2 and 3 all-time Supercross winners have only 2 titles each. RV's got more, Dunge got more, McGrath's got more, Stanton's got more. Stanton has 3 titles and 17 wins. So where does that put him? 3 titles, 17 wins.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just an interesting bench racing question. A guy on X, was saying that Coop's title would put 3 titles would put him ahead of Stu and Tomac.
I think as part of this is the memory for most people is created by how dominant you were. That's my take. So the people that were the most dominant, if you won a bunch of races and your titles weren't impressive because you crashed a lot, but you just absolutely killed everybody in your moments, I think those create lasting memories, and you're remembered more fondly than guys who just were relentless and just dogged everybody out and then won more titles in the end, but weren't as dominant.
Hence,
right? Like I don't know. Maybe
hence why Bradshaw is still sort of like a legend.
Yeah, 100%. Stanton was proved he was better and could get the job done, but no one thinks about Stanton with the fondness that they do Bradshaw.
Right.
It's just, right or wrong. I'm not saying it's fair, but that's the fact.
And then further along that, Stu's got 2 titles, but dude, did you see when he jumped the wall? Did you see when he did this? Did you see when he did that? Did you see?
He's like a living legend. Like people, they think he's like a mythical creature. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, that's for sure.
It's just bench racing. Yeah. Any thoughts, Phil?
Yep.
Let me see.
Yeah,
you're Cooper Webb's biggest fan, so.
I don't know.
Okay. Great talk.
I don't know.
Playing in, Phil.
Thanks, Phil.
Like you said, like if you were asked Stu, would he rather have 3 titles or 50 wins?
What do you think he would say?
3 titles.
Would you just think of it in a monetary sense? Because I was going to say the math on the $100,000 a win.
Stu probably made more.
You have 20 more wins, right?
Yeah.
The win is a step to the goal.
Yeah.
Okay? The goal is to win the title. That's the ultimate goal.
But JT made a great point. I envision Stu being better than Coop.
Yes.
Just because
Yes. That's where I was at on X. That's what I said.
How dominant, how fast, how...
Right.
Well, to me, there are 2 riders that I've seen, and I've watched everybody, right? I'm old enough now. Is the way that Bradshaw rode his first couple of years, the things he would do on the bike was just like mind-blowing, right? And James Stewart and him both had that sort of explosiveness, that speed. Like, he's the fastest rider, like the fastest versus the competition, and how the ballsy things they would do, or the dynamic moves that they would make on other riders around the track that were just second to none. I mean, James had more of them, but Bradshaw certainly had that level of dynamics to his riding in those early years that it would just blow your mind. You're like, what just happened?
It's hilarious to hear Jeremy. He said this a few times. Jeremy's older than Damon. And Jeremy was like, dude, Damon was the baddest dude ever on his Yamaha. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, that's awesome.
Like, McGrath says he can picture Bradshaw at Anaheim with his Yamaha, the way it sounded. Like, you're just like, dude, first of all, you're way better.
And that, was it 90 off the start? Start was on the left-hand side of the stadium.
Yeah, Anaheim.
And there had the huge wall, because that was these, who was the builder of the track? Anyway.
Savitsky would have built him back then?
No, Kitchen. And so there was a huge wall that was like a 90-degree.
Yeah.
So Dubach gets the whole shot, but Bradshaw intentionally lined up on the outside, and he just went straight around the wall, and Dubach comes in, and then there was like a backward ski jump, and Bradshaw just hits this thing and just goes flying fucking out into nowhere, and Dubach like barely misses him. And it's like that type of balls that he would like – he likes, okay, I'm going to line up out here, and I'm going straight down the left.
He had to go to the LCQ that night. That's why he was there. Yeah.
So he's going down the left, but his plan was not to – he wasn't going to whole shot Dubach, right? Nobody was. But my plan's, I'm going to go straight down the left-hand side of the start line. I'm going to hit this wall, and I'm not going to shut off. And it was like that type of, the bravery, the balls it takes to do that.
It's just an interesting bench racing. Nobody's right, nobody's wrong, right? It's just cool to think about it.
I think the high risk, high reward style gets people out of their seat, and it's what they remember people for. You know, like it's just like no one would ever claim that Stanton wasn't just an animal, but did he create the lifelong fans that other riders did? No, because it was just a different style. It's not his fault. Just who he was. But it's just the stuff of lore.
All right. Anything else for Jason Thomas on the line?
We're good.
All right. Fly Racing, flyracing.com. Thanks, JT. I appreciate the time as always.